as you're going, and every so often through the shroud of the pre-dawn darkness and the rain and the mist, lightning cracks the sky, illuminating things around you, painting the rest of the world below the horizon line in silhouette. The thunder rattles your bones, shakes the hull of the ship. It's very loud, striking frequently in seemingly random places. Periodically, you can see bolts of lightning hitting the top of the big spire in the middle of the island, the blue tombstone as everyone keeps calling it. You can usually see sparks flying when that happens, and the big obelisk of crystal flashes slightly in response, before going dull and dark again.
Mika, keep that crystal of yours on hand.
Right.
If we're getting close to his twin, hopefully it'll give us something of a clue.
Hopefully.
And I'm trying to keep an eye out as best I can.
Was that awareness?
13 again. Yep.
All right.
We're getting a lot of 13s lately.
Yeah, okay. Rolling a 13, you look around. You can't really see a whole lot through this fog, though. You only get periodic, very brief glimpses when the lightning strikes, and you try to pick up what details you can, but it's all in silhouette, so anything that's not against the backdrop of the sky itself just becomes an indistinct part of the blackened mass below you.
Well, if everyone else who's not driving the ship also wants to see if it can spot anything helpful.
I don't even think shooting my deer will be able to see anything better.
It doesn't
Okay,
have
the rest
that.
of you.
It doesn't have that kind of range, and it's not that bright. It's a
Exactly
it's a
why.
pearl of holy light that explodes after hitting something. It's not like a miniature sun.
Yeah, I'll have Thanatos and Kyra roll as well.
That's Mika's awareness.
I shall.
Yeah, that's why I said probably even shooting my deer won't work.
And go.
The fog appears to just not want us to see anything.
I have awareness of 6.
I mean,
A very brief point, reporting that you're, I think, very briefly giving the wheel over to Thanatos, and she can have a quick look herself.
Yeah, I'm pretty much like.
The dice hate me today. I'm returning to the cabin where I'm useful.
All right. All right.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm pretty much like the cabin boy or whatever you call it that's in the crow's nest looking out.
all right.
Look out.
Well, the fog does not want us to see, so
We don't
The
have.
ship doesn't have a crow's nest.
Yeah, the ship doesn't have a crow's nest.
It's unlike the Stargazer, which is like a flying boat. This is
This is a more
Teggy.
this is a more sleek designed craft. It doesn't have a crow's nest. It has like as small and elegant a silhouette as it can possibly have while still being effective.
It's not a traditional flying boat thing where like a
okay.
sci-fi kind of craft. But yeah.
Okay, so we can't see anything, but we are heading towards the obelisk, right?
Yep, you are gradually heading towards the blue tombstone. And eventually, you do come over the island. But through the dark, it is hard to see any notable landmarks or even potential landing zones.
Do we try to roll for awareness again?
At present, it's up to Nee how to proceed. She's the one at the helm.
So you can't see just any kind of open areas by the obelisk.
Not at your current altitude, no. And it is worth noting, this is not a small island. It is surprisingly large. You estimate it would probably take a couple hours to walk from one side to the other.
Alright, I'm gonna bring her to a lower altitude by the obelisk. See if you can spot a landing zone. Mika, you see if that crystal does anything.
All right. Go ahead and make a vehicle check for me. Anyone looking out for landing zones, make awareness checks. And Mika will be focusing on her crystal.
God damn it, again.
13,
Again.
13. What is with the 13s today?
That's the unlucky number. And a horror movie.
Oh,
That's
Tyler did good, though.
Okay.
Hey.
All right. So, as Tom
Yes.
brings as Neothil brings the little wing further and further down, the rest of you are still kind of squinting to try and find a suitable sort of landmark or place to land, you can tell that you're largely flying over a forested area at the moment as you're drawing closer to the blue tombstone. But it's very dense, and you're not seeing any landing zones. Eventually, though, Kyra points out a spot. Down there!
I see it. I'm going in.
It's a sort of
Nice
a
one, Kai.
rocky, it's sort of a gently sloped, rocky region as you're coming down. It looks like to be a more gentle part of an upward rise into what would normally be the mountain at the center of the island from when it was forming, that gets abruptly cut off and subsumed by the rising pillar of blue crystal that you realize as you're coming in for a landing is just stupidly wide. From north to south, it expands probably a good few miles in either direction. This thing is tall and wide and big.
It's a big obelisk.
Yep.
Am I the only one that's thinking tower dungeon?
Crystal Tower.
There you go.
Either way, you need to make me one more vehicle check to land, please. Because it is an uneven, rocky surface. It won't be a high difficulty.
Money. 9.
Oh.
Okay. Your landing is a little kind of jerky as you touch down, but you manage to land her with minimal fuss. And you only take, and the little wing, you hear one of the landing gears sort of a little bit, and the little wing takes 30 points of damage, but otherwise it is fine.
Sid's gonna be mad.
10.
Yeah, we have a dungeon map.
We have a dungeon map.
All right. So, as you look around to one side to the east, you see the rising wall of the blue tombstone. And then looking to the west, you see the edge of a forest rolling up and down the slopes. To the north and south, it appears to largely just to be rocky terrain of varying steep inclines and slopes and hills. As I mentioned before, this looks like it would normally be like the initial rise into a mountain, but again, it's overtaken and swallowed up by the blue tombstone jutting up from the earth.
Alright. Mika, anything?
Mika's looking at the crystal and shakes her head. Nothing.
Well, it's gotta be something to do with this spire. 'Cause, I mean, if it didn't, why the hell would it exist?
No idea. The sun is gradually coming up, by the way, and while it is still raining and still misty and unpleasant, you're gradually able to start seeing more and more. So the longer this goes on, the farther your field of view will be.
Alright. Let's disembark. Shutting her down. Let's start to explore the circumference of this thing.
All right, I'm going to
Keep trying,
I'm
Mika.
going to fiddle with a thing here for a minute.
I don't like it when he fiddles with things.
I'm currently just trying to indicate to myself how much your visual radius, how far you can see right now.
Okie doke. Give me a moment, chaps. I'll be right back. But
Alright.
wait quick.
And I will change that to... Sorry for the wait there and the very obnoxious cut. We kind of had to wait for like 20 minutes. We talked about a lot.
again,
Yeah.
family.
Talked about a lot of irrelevant shit. Now let's get back to the campaign.
I
shall we?
would
Yes.
get rocking out to One Wing
Right.
Angel Rebirth.
Okay, so what
Yeah,
are
it was
we
awesome.
doing? What do we see?
Alright.
What?
When we cut, we were saying we were going to start traveling around the circumference of the Blue and Tombstone, see if we can find anything, and Mika's going to keep focusing on the crystal and trying to figure some shite out.
All right, what direction do you want to try and circle around it from, north or south?
I'd say south, just by looking at the map. That is the larger direction to go.
Alrighty.
Really?
Okay, so we landed right next to the big tombstone thing, right?
Yeah, you are right on its side. You can see on the map the little wing and the party location. It's all right there.
Hey, we start heading down south and
Okay,
circling
before we
around.
okay, hold on. Before we start heading down south, Thanatos is going to go up to the tombstone and knock on it like a door. Leviathan, we're here for your crystal. Open up.
Speaking of, let's just go.
Just an owl hoots. Nothing else happens.
An
I
owl.
have the sudden urge to smack him with my staff.
An owl.
For a moment, I thought that the crystal was making a like a boing noise, and it was actually going to work, and I was
No.
going to be.
No.
But that's what I fucking hell. Alright.
No, that worked. That only worked the one time with Deviant Corp, and even then, that was only because of dice rolls being on your side.
Alright, well, just if we're knocking things off of a checklist, what happens if you touch that crystal to that one?
Mika walks up, pulls out the lesser water crystal, and touches it to the tombstone. Nothing.
Didn't think so. Well, we now know. Anyway, moving on.
All right, so you guys are going south on foot?
Yes.
Yep.
All right. So, how long do you want to head in that direction, or do you not really care specifically?
Until we see something that stands out.
All right.
Or Mika otherwise gets the response. Just something of interest.
You know, it would have been nice if Leviathan would have given us instructions like, hey, this is how you can get into the light crystal.
Well, all things fail, you can always summon Roman and be like, hey, storyteller, how the fuck is this thing?
Or why didn't he just tell us how to get in?
He
at
doesn't,
the
he
time
doesn't
we didn't.
necessarily know what you guys are doing right now.
Yeah, I mean, if all worst comes to worst, but for now, let's explore.
All right, so you start to make your way south, following along the side of the blue tombstone. As you are going, you can eventually see that the forest sort of creeps up the slope and eventually is pressing right up against the side of the tombstone as you're making your way. And so, let's see here. It is about, as you've been traveling for about half an hour, that I need
He's rolling a thing.
Thanatos to roll for me a d12, please.
Why?
Because I said so.
And I was gonna say the mighty DM demands it.
Oh no.
All right.
But one's never good.
One action.
Well, it depends on whether he's after high or low rolls.
Mm.
Ordering whatever he has planned.
You briefly pass under the canopy, left with no choice as it's hugging the blue tombstone. You get the occasional patch of clear, but it never lasts long as you keep working your way down. All the while, Mika is monitoring her crystal, and you guys are keeping your eyes out for anything of note. If you want, you may roll awareness checks.
Roll all the awareness. One of you get a critical.
That'd be nice. But so far, the only critical I've had is a critical fail. Which you very nearly had yourself.
I'm tired.
12. At least not 13 this time.
Oh,
Yeah.
the highest.
Meh.
Let's say I was the highest.
All right. So it is starting to get relatively light, and your visual radius is starting to expand as you step back out of the foliage of the forest there. So I'll go ahead and expand the circle size to 0.5 instead of 0.3. And as you emerge out, and the wall of the tombstone begins to slope around to the left, you can see, as you come back out, you see the land sort of sweep down and slope down before you. You can see a few other patches of forestation pocketed around, and you can see the rock give way to grass further along. You'll give me just a second to sort of draw on the reveal there. There we go. And furthermore, you see, who rolled the highest awareness there?
Alistair.
Alistair. Alistair
I
then is
did.
the only one to spot it. It's sort of peering through the mist of the rain. There's a brief flash of lightning across the sky, and in the silhouettes that come up, you see an oddly shaped thing rising up out of the ground around here.
Thing.
Yeah, it's about I'd say 15 minutes walk away,
Hold up, everyone.
maybe 20.
I think I see something coming out of the ground.
Now that he's pointed out to us, what do we see?
You can't really make out details from this distance, but you can see that it looks, the closest thing I could think of to describe it is it looks like you took like the ass end of a pencil with like the eraser at its tip, a rounded eraser, made it really, really wide and thick, and then just stabbed it into the ground. That's the sort of silhouette you're getting from here, but you can't make out any fine details. Also, one thing I should point out, given the big-ass crystal that sits at the heart of this island and its constant emissions, the whole island's, the ground is constantly slick beneath your feet as you're walking along, and you've seen plenty of moss. Just wanted to get that detail out there. Lots of little streams.
Let's go check this thing out. Anything unique is worth having a gander to.
All right. So you spend approximately 20 minutes, if I had to... making your way over to look at it. And as you draw closer and it gets a little brighter out, you see that it is a perfectly round piece of stone that's just sticking up from the ground. You're not sure how it got there. It's certainly not a natural structure. It kind of has like Stonehenge vibes in its make. Just a perfectly round, almost like cylinder with a smooth, rounded, dome-shaped cap of rock, like the stones around it, just stuck into the ground. But more than that, as you're drawing closer, if you'll give me a second to pull up my notes on it, you can see at its tip a faintly glowing cluster of blue crystals. But unlike the ones that you guys have in your pockets, they don't seem to be letting off any streams of water. These ones are different. The crystals in your pockets don't glow. They just kind of hang out there.
Well, this is the most promising thing we've seen in the last hour. Getting anything, Mika?
Mika looks at her stone, looks up at it, and shakes her head. Nothing.
Well, let's check it out anyway.
So what do you wish to do with this?
Do we see anything if we like closely examine like the glowy stones?
Go ahead and make an awareness check.
Okie doke. This is gonna ask.
Investigate.
Let's have a look. And the number is 15.
All right.
Pretty good.
Me, you notice it, but you don't really make the connection. But Alistair, you notice as you're drawing closer to this small obelisk that the air around it is far more humid, far more damp, and you actually like look down at your hand a little bit, and even with the rain coming down, you can tell if there wasn't rain coming down, you would be getting damp just by standing in proximity to these things. Being in proximity to these stones creates, you are effectively in a water elemental field if you are close to this obelisk.
Fascinating.
Being within a medium range of this obelisk creates a water elemental field.
Is that it's all just it just creates elemental fields?
As you can tell.
Huh. It appears to just create a water elemental field of such. Strange.
Alright. Why is it placed here?
No idea.
I'm not exactly sure myself.
Elemental
Maybe it was to
fields.
serve some form of purpose, but
The whole point is
was it
elemental
still doing
fields amplify their native magics, don't they? So if you water magic here would be more powerful.
just like the crystals I have that make the wind power more stronger.
Yeah. Too bad none of us know any water attacks.
Well, aside from my arrows, just gonna be enchanted, but
But the question is, do we take one or not?
is it something that we can take, or is it something that's in the stone?
They're sort of growing atop the stone. You
Yeah.
imagine if you could get up to them, a strong enough tug would probably prize one free.
Well, do you want to give it a try, Nee?
Alright. Just in case it comes in handy.
All right. Go ahead and make is it acrobatics or athletics that we have in this rulebook?
Athletics.
All right, make an athletics check for me then.
Definitely makes sense. I'm not the most.
Correct.
Oh,
Fuck yeah, okay.
excellent.
So, not only do you just scale the slippery slope of this perfectly smooth obelisk as if you were like a monkey fucking around in the jungle gym. You just scamper up with no difficulty, and when you reach the top, you look down, and you're not going to have to make a force check because you see that one of the crystals in the cluster is already loose. And you just reach down and pick it up. All right, for critical
can
success
see-
is giving you extra benefits. In this case, it prevented you from needing to make a scavenge check to find one you could prize out.
Awesome. Yeah, I can
Nice.
definitely see how you became one of the best rangers.
That or she was a monkey in her other life.
All right, so
I
neat.
happen to be as the Lauren in my other life. Thank you very much.
Okay, Neat, go ahead and add one water stone to your inventory.
A water stone, which creates an elemental field around us, which
Amplifies water attacks.
Creates a water elemental field. Well, yeah. Rather, it makes the air around you a little more damp. It's only creating the water elemental field when with its friends. If you want to create an elemental field after you leave, you would smash the rock against the ground. And it would last for a
Yeah.
day.
so it's consumable.
Yes.
Elemental stones are consumable.
Alright, so in other words, it's nothing to do with actually getting the crystal. It's just an extra thing.
Well, it may serve its purpose at some point.
Yeah, if any of
Ah.
us actually used
Not
one.
all bad.
Well, let's do the search. Keep this place in mind.
Indeed. Let's proceed. So which way shall we go?
Continue around it.
All right. So you make your way up here, spending another half hour. Are you guys like just hugging the wall? Do you want to cut through the forest? What you doing?
Oh, staying close to the spire, I imagine, because that's the important thing.
Yeah, plus, I feel it'd be much safer if we stay out of the forest for now.
All right. Give me just a second to draw on what you guys see.
After all, we don't know what's on this island yet.
Right. So you spend the next half hour carving through, making your way, following the edge of the obelisk. You sort of keep up the forest, another forest on the southern end of the island, sort of to your right as you're going, and the obelisk to your left as you've been doing. Nothing seems to be happening with Mika's crystal.
Just doing another awareness checks for the heck of it, because fuck it. Get another
Yeah,
crit, that'll be
same.
great.
14.
I'm pretty much keeping an eye out.
You're not really seeing a whole lot yet. That said, though, your visual radius is increasing as the sun gets higher in the air, allowing you to see further through the mist. And on your generally elevated position, give me a second to draw on what you're seeing. You can actually see the beginnings of the beach on the eastern side of the island as you're heading forward now. Stretching out. over there to the east.
Right. Onwards.
All right.
About half an hour.
Yep. You move another half hour. And park yourselves right here. I'm gonna go ahead and give control of the thing to you guys, so you can decide amongst yourselves where you want to move. Now, really quickly, just give me a second. Just okay, here we go. All right, so at this point, as you keep moving, once again, the obelisk starts to slant around to the left, and you realize you've reached its other side. Looking off to your left and slowly panning your vision to the right, you are greeted to the view of yet another forest sort of hugging along the eastern end of the blue tombstone. You can just make out the edge of the shoreline receding into the ocean in some places from where you are now. But most strikingly, as you're sort of looking across, you see an old wooden shack on a patch of grass out in the middle of the beach.
Jack?
Okay.
Give me just a second here. I want to I'm gonna do a couple things here. I'm gonna move that to the map layer. Move that to the map layer.
First a stone altar, now a shack.
Me? I thought the mayor said that nobody's supposed to be on this island.
He did say, though, that some people have ignored those rules.
But most don't either don't come back or
Well,
Or-
if there is any locals, let's hope that they're friendly and not our enemy.
Well, it does
Or-
look
even better, know where the damn thing is.
Well, let's check it out. Oh,
All right.
It's a possibility, but I won't hold my hopes to it.
Give me just a second. Need to measure how long that trip is. All right. It's not exactly near. It takes you about another half hour to reach the old shack. Give me a second. I need to update the clock because I am keeping track of how much daylight you guys have left. You got kind of an early start, so I'm saying that you guys had about 12 hours of light when you got here. You've got 9 left.
Okie doke. Good to know.
All right, so give me just a second to pull up my notes. So the shack rests on a small grassy rise coming up out of the beach. Whether it's natural or not, you're not sure. But the shack is overgrown with vines, you realize as you draw closer, and moss and mold and wildflowers are growing all over it. It appears to be broken down, partially collapsed. In fact, the longer you look at it, the more you realize it probably hasn't been tended to for decades.
Well, so much
You can
for
see a few boxes and crates sort of scattered around outside.
well, so much for
Ah,
locals.
Abandoned.
I don't think this place holds much promise, but check it out anyway. You never know. If it was
Alright.
here, might have left something useful behind.
Alright. I'll cut my way
So
into
they're
the door.
scavenging it?
Yeah. I'll cut my way into the door. You guys check these crates.
I would recommend not cutting your way anywhere because you don't want the space to collapse on your head.
Well, it's overgrown with vines. Can I get in?
Yeah, you can get to the door. There are some vines over, but you can kind of push them aside and get in.
Okay, so I guess scavenge.
All right, well, hold on. As you step into the shack, you're immediately struck by the thick smell of stale air, dust, mold, and the faintest lingering remnants of decay, made somewhat more bearable by the fresh rainfall coming down and washing things. You can hear the faint trickles of water dribbling in through various holes in the roof. The floor sort of sloshes under your feet as you step in with little splashes. It's a little less than an inch deep. Directly across from the front door, you see a long counter built up against the wall with old cutlery scattered across it, made of wood. Looks to be handmade. Some of it looks to have the long decayed remains of some sort of food in them. Not even enough left to warrant flies. Off to the left, next to the entrance and sort of tucked into a corner, you see a moldy wooden round table with a few more pieces of said cutlery on it. Meanwhile, off into the far right corner of the room, gently bathed, or would be gently bathed if it were sunny out right now, but right now just kind of under a few gentle dripping streams of water, you see an old bed with 2 skeletons lying on it, sort of entangled together.
Oh.
Well, guys, I found your locals.
What happened to them?
Well, considering they're on their bed, cuddled up, probably either died in their sleep or something more gruesome.
What's the state of their skeletons?
What was that roll, Alistair?
Well, that was going to be for scavenger
Scavenge.
check, but I actually hit it because
Well,
I
let's-
thought we hold back on it.
Right. We'll get to you in a minute then. So, you're wanting to figure out what the state of the skeletons are,
Yes, looking at them.
as in like how old they are.
Old, any obvious wounds, yada yada.
Go ahead and make for me a medicine check. That is a skill, right?
Healing.
Healing. Make a healing check.
Mika.
Okay, yeah. Who here has healing?
I have actually.
Healing
Amazingly.
check.
So yes,
I have-
the 2 healers. I have 2.
I have 4. So,
So,
I can
yes.
roll.
Alcir, do the thing.
Mika has 6.
Mika, do the
Ah.
thing.
Mika and Alcir, do the thing.
We're both doing the thing.
Okay.
You can go good roll.
Oh,
And so did Alice.
All right, fucking hell. Okay, so both
both experts.
Mika and Alistair give the skeletons an examination, and both determine that these skeletons have probably been here for going on 10, maybe 12 to 14 years. They've been here for a while. There's basically no meat left on them. Whatever meat there was long ago peeled off by any scavengers that managed to find their way inside. There don't appear to be any significant marks of injury on the bones. At least none that you would ascertain came about while the bodies were alive. Chances are they've probably taken 1 or 2 dings even while lying here in the years since they passed, so there's some minor damage. You do notice, sort of clutched together between 2 of their skeletal hands, sort of between them on the ratty and tattered bedsheets, an old, sort of goldish-colored necklace in a diamond shape with a crack running diagonally across it.
Hmm.
What's that? Oh,
Should I use my scavenger check from earlier, or?
I mean,
It's right there.
figure it out.
Yeah.
If you want to figure out its significance, you could roll a lore check. Otherwise, you can just take it.
All right.
Mika, do the thing.
All right.
Mika could do that.
Mika's gonna look it
More
over.
lore than that.
Lore
All I thought was
everything.
lore and magic.
Mika looks it over, blinks a few times, then looks at the bodies, and her ears just sort of droop slightly. Oh, that's sad.
What is it?
She looks the necklace over for a second. It's badly damaged, but this is the sort of necklace that, in older times, before the Gulka sort of got integrated into wider common, in society, were used by the people of Pure Oasis as, well, our equivalent of wedding rings. They would make special customized necklaces for each other, because, I don't know if you've ever noticed, but Gulka fingers are really, really big, not conducive for rings.
Right.
Oh, a couple of newlyweds then.
I don't know about newlyweds.
Well, they were married.
They were.
Let's leave it here then.
You do
Yeah, but,
notice, by the way, I forgot to mention this a second ago, there is a chest, sort of like a little footlocker at the base of the bed.
All right. Thanatos is gonna go open that.
All right.
Is it locked?
It is not. There does look to be what was once a padlock, but when you open it up, it does dun, 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 like it gives like a fraction of a second of resistance, and then it just snaps and falls off, and you open it without issue.
Is in it?
Right. Inside of the chest, you see a bundle of old clothes sort of folded up and tucked off to the left side. You see A couple of spiders quickly scurrying away. A beetle. Looks like a few, fabric-eating moths immediately flutter out. Have been in there a while. You see a coin pouch sort of tucked in there with them. And you see an old, partially torn up journal book with a half-empty bottle sitting next to it. The bottle resembling the sort of things you would expect to see housing like potions or ethers. The liquid inside being a vibrant pink.
And Thanatos is going to gently pick the book up.
Meanwhile, Mika, can you identify what this is, the potion? Otherwise, I have suspicions, but we'll see.
She looks it over.
Ooh.
A second later, she nods. It's old, but it's an elixir.
Alexa. Nope. God, no, not you, you fucking machine.
I heard that as well. I was like, brum. Elixir, not Alexa.
Bloody accents.
Indeed. So, opening the book gently, what do I see?
There are a lot of entries and the first one on the first page is from the year 1002. And for reference, you guys are currently in the year 1037.
So this was 35 years ago.
Indeed, at least the first entry was. You can take some time to read through it if you want.
Oh yeah.
It'll take you a while because like the book is full. It'll take you a while to go through it.
Okay, how about I find the most recent one?
Okay.
You also might want to skim through anyway, because if they were a while, they might have some.
Okay. Skimming through it, do I see any mention of the tombstone or
Go
the
ahead.
crystal?
Go ahead and make an inquiry check. That's kind of what this is. You're not asking people, but you are searching for information.
Who here has the highest inquiry? Because I have none.
Don't look at me, mate.
You.
Actually, Thanatos. Okay, hold on. I got one. Kyra's got 4. So, trying to skim through it, Kyra looks over her shoulder and kind of gently takes it from.
All right, so Kyra can go through it.
Oh.
All right, so skimming through the book, the general gist that Kyra is sort of able to ascertain is that these two individuals were once sky pirates, in fact, and they came to this island in the year 1002 as outlaws, hoping to sort of lay low and duck the law for a little while, hoping it would give them a good place to hunt for some treasure, because that was the typical thing with this place for a long while. And if they could find some good treasure buried by pirates a long time ago or anyone else, they could use that to pay off their bounties and go live normal lives. They were sick of being on the run, sick of, stealing and whatnot. They just wanted to leave it all behind and start over and come clean. But after months and months of searching, they didn't find any treasure and eventually had to build up the shack to keep themselves sustained on shore, because it was a pain in the ass to go from the airship to the shore over and over again, because they docked their airship out in the water. In time, or as Kyra sort of skimming over the entry, she begins to figure out that these individuals, these two, began to grow fond of the island. They liked it. It was quiet. It was, so long as they stayed out of the water where the mist dragons hung out, it was pretty safe. There were dangers, of course, but they were usually capable of taking care of themselves. And eventually, one time, when they got a little too far out in their airship, it got attacked by mist dragons and was destroyed, leaving them with nothing more than a rinky-dink little rowing fishing boat. They decided to just stay here, live out their lives. In the time that they had been here, they became surprisingly close, and in one of their old heists, they had come across the old Galkan wedding necklace. And eventually just decided in a sort of very candid and casual way, fuck it, we're here, we're together, no one can say no, we got this. we're a thing. Kyra keeps sort of skimming through it, looking for specific things, sort of recounting the gist of what she's seeing. During their stay at the island, they encountered several unusual things, though they did note, of course, that the mist dragons rarely venture inland, and when they do, it was usually in direct response to something these two individuals did. It's at this point that Kyra holds up a hand and goes, "Ah, here we are. This looks promising." She points at the page. "Apparently, about 3 years before their last entry, they were up by the tombstone, and they found some insignias up on the eastern side of it. Now, they'd never seen that before, and the woman of the two went up and touched it, and she says she heard a voice in her head saying she wasn't worthy. And then they were attacked by a mist dragon that chased them away, but eventually gave up once they got back to the beach."
Well, that sounds promising.
And it does.
Hmm.
She turns the page a few more times. They didn't go back. No. Apparently in the year 1020, they were attacked by some sort of local creature. They call it a stroper? I don't know what that means. But apparently it was poisonous, and they didn't have a cure. They tried to take sips from that elixir they have, but apparently it didn't cure the poison, just healed their wounds. She looks over at the bed. And they died there.
A couple who
they-
seek the venture, and they found.
Unfortunate way to go, to be sure, but I mean, hey, they got a good few decades out of it. The journal entries seemed happy, so
Yeah.
unfortunate way to go,
somewhere.
but the lead up to it was worth it, I'd say. And she snaps it shut.
They were keeping themselves alive with that elixir, but in the end, it seems they just decided to go.
Are you guys taking the money pouch, by the way?
I'll just leave it.
Okay.
And
I mean, I say leave the necklace. 'Cause, I mean, the symbolic nature of that, but the money pouch, something else like that.
Hmm.
You might as well take the money.
I mean, it still kind of feels wrong to.
Mika, well, after a second, Kyra sort of pipes up. Just throwing it out there, but wouldn't that necklace have some kind of enchantment on it? And Mika nods. Yeah, probably. That's usually how this stuff worked. They were all
What
custom made,
kinda?
but this one probably had some sort of magic on it.
Maybe.
Okay, what kind of magic on it?
I don't know. But if we found a good enough smith, if we brought it with us, they could probably repair it and we could have a pretty good enchanted item, maybe.
The only thing I was going to offer to the table, since Mika brought that up, was could try to do a magic lore check if that works.
You can try.
Check what it is.
Maybe. Give it a best look as I can. See if I see anything. Right, let's see. How much lore have I got again? 4. Okay, dice. It all goes down to you.
I mean,
No.
You look it over for a minute, and after a second, you get the impression, based on the insignias, that it was probably designed in moments of intensity and great peril to impart a burst of strength and determination into the wearer. Grandma, go away. Go away. Go away.
Mm.
Take the plates and go away. I'm in the middle of narrating shit. Crap. That's
First it
not
happened to
my
me, now it
problem.
happened to Sir Jamas.
Shoo. Be gone. Be gone.
Except it's my mother.
Retreat.
Not bananas.
Leave. Flee.
no.
Okay, sorry about that.
You shouldn't speak to your grandmother that way.
You shut up. I speak to my grandma how I want. Now then. So,
So
in game terms,
the
in game terms, the explanation. In game terms, while right now it has the broken property, if repaired, it would gain the triple critical property.
Oh.
So what? So in times of a critical, it would do 3 times the damage instead of double.
Yes.
Which, to be honest, that would be great for a heavy hitter. Like we have quite a few on our team now.
Well,
Yeah, again, it's
But
doesn't feel right to
it's
take.
still.
yeah, it just doesn't feel right to take it.
We already have plenty of damaging things and way of increasing. I mean, look at me, for instance. I don't
Ranger is
think
broken. Please nerf.
I don't think we need to take
Yeah,
that.
definitely nerf.
I say we should probably take the money because
Mm.
it's serving no purpose there. But the
The way I see the situation, it would be disrespectful to take anything from this house. Plus, I think it's the best thing we could do since none of us have a shovel to, you know.
how much gold is in the guild?
500.
I'll leave it. Fuck it. Leave it.
I was gonna say even if it's like a couple
So-
thousand, it's not wrong. It's wrong
Okay,
to take it.
So again, Thanatos takes the book back from Kyra and just kind of lays it in between them, like
Mm.
next to the necklace.
All right. Well,
Well,
They've given us. They've given us at least one thing, a location of what I presume to be an entrance. Waiting someone worthy. Looks at Mika intently.
Intent, nudge, nudge.
I was gonna say since I had the necklace, I was gonna carefully put it back where it was.
Yep.
before.
All right. Let's not waste the chance they gave us. We know where it is. Let's get inside.
All right.
Yeah.
One thing. It is getting brighter out. That whole excursion took you a little while because it did take time to sort of read through the journal.
Okay.
You have about 8.4 hours of daylight left, and as you're stepping out, with the slightly still increasing light, which you're almost at full brightness, as you're stepping out, you can actually see on the other side, ways out there, you actually spot something jutting up out of the water, ways out. Closer.
Where is it? Oh, is it the wreck of their airship, perhaps?
Looking at it, you would bet money on it.
Well, the ship didn't crash far.
Yeah. So how far is it from here, and how deep is it in the water?
It is poking up out of the water, and you could probably reach it in about half an hour if you felt so inclined as to go have a look.
Well, it's kind of submerged. Do you think it's worth having a look? Should we straight to the
Might
entrance?
as well.
Opinions?
I said my words while you all went outside, so yeah.
And what do you hope to find in a shipwreckage?
Well, I'm not sure if it's really going to be anything more than a unnecessary diversion. That's why I'm asking your opinions on this one.
Well, the way I see it, who knows? There may be some parts intact or anything we could use to help the little wing.
Thing's a decade old, and it's fully damaged.
True. But I mean, we're here. We got daylight left, so
There's no harm in checking. Certainly
Alright.
less depressing than the old shack.
We'll head over, quick cursory look to see if there's anything in, then we're heading towards the entranceway. We don't exactly have much time to waste on this.
All right.
Yeah, but we still got a few hours of daylight, and
Daylight isn't what I'm
Hopefully.
worried about. Remember the dreams.
again,
true.
we'll make it quick.
All right.
Alright, let's go.
All right.
Hmm.
So,
Quick but careful.
yep, you head on over. It takes about 30 minutes, or about 25 minutes rather, to reach the shore. And you do have some water sort of separating you from the airship, so if you would be
They
so...
mentioned a fishing boat, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. They didn't say where it was, so you can Make a
thought
scavenge
it-
check to try and find it.
If it's even still intact after all this time.
I doubt it. So, as we are at the shore, so again we can see the ship, right?
Yeah, you can
How
see
far?
it.
How far off the shoreline is it?
It's about you'd say maybe 5 to 10 minutes out.
So
Okay.
in other words, we have to swim.
So, Thanatos is going to just start unbuckling because he is not swimming in heavy armor.
Actually,
Hey,
I have an idea.
Yeah, that's not swim. Can you freeze the water? Make a bridge across?
Yeah, I can. It'll cost me some of my power for the day, but yeah, I can do it.
Yes.
All right,
So,
so
stick
Mika.
stick your pants back on, big guy. We don't need to see that.
Yes.
One,
Have you forgotten Mika could freeze water?
One, it's just armor. Two, say we do make you a little ice bridge over there, then what are you going to do when we get to it? Because it's poking out of the water. Most of it's still in the water, genius.
We'll find a solution.
We can explore the parts that aren't submerged.
Alright, so, for purposes, for getting all the way there, what Mika is going to do is she is going to use the intuitive magic system that I honestly forgot was a thing when we started this campaign, and probably should have taken note to remember. It'll effectively cost her 2 casts of the spell Blizzara, but she begins to make a bridge of ice in the water, freezing it, allowing you guys to safely cross. And we'll say that for purposes that the bridge will persist for... Give me just a minute here. It will last for about 70 minutes.
Alright, so 10 minutes across, 10 minutes back, that's 20 minutes, which will give us, 15 minutes to look around.
Ooh, I have an idea.
Oh?
If we ourselves don't want to swim into the sunken parts of it,
You
I can
send
make
it
a
past.
fish.
Fish.
Fishy.
Well, let's get there and explore the unsunken parts first.
Alright, so you walk across with Mika's hand sort of outstretched, emitting streams of white mist that freeze the water ahead of you. You go at a pretty good pace. And before long, you can see the broken remains of the airship's sort of front poking up out of the water. It's definitely an older design, but still very viable if it were to be properly repaired, if one were to waste all their time and energy doing that. You can see the tops of its propellers sort of sticking up. It looks like this is one of those sailless airships built more for speed rather than size and stability, kind of like the Little Wing, albeit not military grade. And there are some sharp rocks jutting up from the water around it. And eventually you can just kind of step from the ice onto the sloped deck in a naturally and pretty smooth transition. The wood is slick and slippery, but it isn't too bad.
Do we see anything on deck?
Make an awareness check.
Gotta roll an awareness. Nine.
14.
14. All right. Looking around on the top deck, you don't really see a whole lot of worth. It's just a lot of moss and mold kind of grown over the wooden planks. You do see a hatch that you presume would lead below decks into the hold, though. Now, Nee, as you're sort of looking around and spotting this, you do notice a hint of movement out in the distance.
In the distance, where?
Just around the ship.
There's movement here around the ship. Is it in the water, or like
So,
literally in the ship?
it's above the water surface.
There's movement. Mist dragons, perhaps.
Maybe.
Wouldn't they be a lot bigger and trying to eat us by now?
Let's not take any chances.
You mentioned a fish.
Opening that hatch, do we see much in there?
Okay, you jerk on it for a second before eventually You pry it open with this loud metallic shriek as the hinges squeal in protest, and you look inside and you can see that the steps descend down and immediately descend into water.
Alright, send your fish down, see what's down there.
Okie dokies.
Make
He's
it a relatively sizable fish as well, so if there's anything of interest, maybe you can bring it back.
so yeah, as big as he can get it. Thanatos is going to concentrate and make as big as he can a catfish. A catfish.
All right. All right, so it takes you a second. What is the MP cost?
Are you going to name it Akim?
What is the MP cost of that spell again? Of Conjuring
grab.
Pests?
Say out of combat magic, summon pest, 3.
All right.
Yeah, you should definitely call it Akim.
Why?
Yeah. Well, think about it for a minute and look at the word.
I'm gonna
DM spot it.
I'm gonna take a drink from my mulled water now.
It's a catfish. Well, I'll give you a clue, Hades. It's a catfish.
Yes.
Now look at the name. A-K-I-M.
Yeah.
Honest. Reverse the word.
Do you get it now?
Yes.
It's
His
fucking
name is
it's
Akim.
it's fucking horrible, but it's great. Also, darkness. Do you see the thing there?
The thing? Which thing are we talking about?
There's a thing in chat for you. I can roll 20 chat.
You mean... Yeah, I was going to say...
Yeah, just comply with that, please.
Hang on.
I'm
Yeah.
worried.
I am also ordered. Also, just out of curiosity, when Mika sees the fish, does she have any reaction to it?
She just kind of looks at it, looks at you, and waits patiently for you to do your thing.
Aw,
2.
Thank
what
you.
is that?
So it took a while, it was loading.
What was that?
Don't worry about it.
Are we worried about it?
Don't worry
I mean-
about it. You're fine.
I'm a little disappointed that Mika doesn't have any kind of reaction to it.
It's a
you haven't
fish.
announced its name yet.
So just all right. So holding it as it's kind of flopping, I'm gonna lower it into the water. All right, Akim. Find us something interesting.
Swims off
You
into the
named
water.
You named your familiar Akim.
I'll give you a chance to think about it.
Mika's gonna roll a finesse check. And promptly proceeds to smack Thanatos on the back of the head.
I would have done the same, but it's too funny.
Alright. Okay. So,
Activating my connection to him, closing my eyes to see through his. Do I see anything as he's swimming along?
well, initially you just see a lot of empty water, just shore, or rather the empty hold. It looks like probably the former sky pirates had picked it clean of a lot of things before they went to live on shore. But there are multiple levels, and as you descend down into the second level, you start to notice crates and chests that are not open.
But are they at least damaged for the fish to get through?
There is some damage, yeah, I'll say. Not a whole lot, and the chests appear to be a bit sturdier. Thank you.
liking you rolling things or making us roll things.
Alright, just have a quick look in these chests to see if anything of value was in there, and that's GTFO, because I've these are random encounter chances.
Okay.
Yep, we gotta keep rolling,
So-
people.
Can Akem see into these boxes?
You can see into some of the boxes. Peering inside, you see what looks to be the largely devoured remains of old fruits or vegetables or other such foodstuffs that probably spoiled and were just left on the ship to rot after they expired.
I'm not going to question how then haven't completely decayed after 10 years in the water, but okay.
Yeah, it's mostly just like moldy lumps at this point. Blackened stuff.
Anything of interest?
Not really. You can't see anything of interest in the crates that have big enough openings to look through, and you can't see inside the chests. They're reinforced enough that they're still holding sturdy.
Okay, moving on. Anything else down in the hole?
Not that you can see. Again, it looks like the pirates kind of picked this place clean before you guys showed
Well,
up.
this was a waste of time. Let's get out of here before the Mist Dragon. Fuck.
Okay, so alright.
Let's go.
I guess I just cancel the spell and damn it.
All right, so
I guess
Hey.
I cancel the spell and let him dissipate.
all right, so you let Akim fade away. You open your eyes, and you turn to start conveying this information to everyone else. When you notice behind everyone else, there's a swirl of white mist starting to come together.
Mist Dragon. This is a waste of time, and it's getting a bloody thing that I can ill afford to do with the time I have left. Ugh. Annoying.
You hear a growl.
And at that point, I think it's a good place to stop.
Yeah. If you're doing a combat encounter, we should stop.
All right, so the rest of you turn and you see the mist starting to come together, swirling into this draconic shape. Not as big as the other dragons you've met so far, but still not exactly small. Two piercing blue eyes, like glowing sapphires, snap open as it lifts its head, peels its lips back. Two giant leathery misty wings flare out, and it lets out this loud draconic roar. And that is where we'll pick up next time.
Yeah, yes.
I spent a long time working on that island, and you guys have explored less than half of it.
And well, you had us go there thinking, oh, we might find something interesting. I was hoping for like maybe something that we could use for like an upgrade for the little wing.
You haven't looked in the chests yet. I will remind you of that.
Well, how do we get to them?
Use your imagination. You'll find a solution.
Well, I was attempting to get. I was hoping to get to the bloody runes by tonight, but with combat encounter and the time I have left since I have a test tomorrow, no. I
Yeah,
can't
so-
do that.
Yeah, no.
We will pick this up next time with a combat encounter against Mist Dragon. So, thank you all for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen, and we will see you next time. Until then, keep listening, people. Bye-bye.
Sure.
Goodbye. Damn you, Tom.